Hey people, welcome to the Run Test. It's Kieran here, and in this video we're talking fueling, we're talking energy gels for the marathon and for racing. The Run Testers have picked their favourites, their tried and tested go-to energy products. And in this video we're going to be revealing, I think it's around about 13 or 14 different gels that we all love to use for various different reasons. So if you want to know how we fuel our races and marathons with gut-friendly, high-energy, super tasty gels, watch on in this video to find out.
Love talking about marathon gels. So my first pick is the High Five Energy Gel. It's my go-to and my most used energy gel, partly because it's really good value for money. It's only £1.30 per sachet, and because it is just so kind on the stomach. It's the first one I used and I've never had any problems with it. It's only 23 grams of carbs, so slightly less carbs, but it's a 40-gram sachet and it's lovely and slim as well, so you can fit loads of them in your belt or wherever you store them without becoming too bulky. There's 30 milligrams of caffeine in the caffeine option, so there's a good option there. It's my go-to energy gel because it's really liquidy, so it's really easy to get down, although it can bounce out a slight bit if you are kind of running too quickly with it. But it just goes down really quickly. And flavour-wise, the citrus flavour is the kind of nicest I've come across of gels that kind of have flavours. It's just like drinking a sweet orange juice. There's citrus, there's orange, there's banana, there's apple, and there's a berry. All of them are fine. Banana's a bit sweet, but it's okay. And they're just really cheap, really gentle, really easy to get hold of. You can bash through them on training runs and not be feeling like you're spending an absolute fortune as well, and not feel like you're going to throw up by the end of it, which is just great. It's really good entry-level gel to get you used to just really fueling loads all the time. Second gel pick, a little bit different. It's this bad boy here. It's the CIS or Science in Sport Beta Fuel with nootropics. 60 milliliter sachet, so it's quite chunky. 40 grams of carbs, 200 milligrams of caffeine. That is a heck of a lot of caffeine in one sachet, so you want one absolute maximum only on race day of 2, otherwise you're way over your caffeine allowance. The other thing it has is all of these nootropics things, which are supposed to aid cognitive function and reduction of fatigue. So you've got 1,000 milligrams of L-taurine, which, looking at what people say it does, kind of can aid performance by increasing the use of fat for fuel, reducing the contribution from glycogen, and also improving the function of mitochondria. Then you've got something called ceticoline, I think, which is to do with cognitive performance. There's 250 milligrams of that. 200 milligrams of L-theanine, which apparently can boost exercise performance by increasing blood flow and reducing fatigue. So the times when I would use this is for when you need a real boost. You want a bit of rocket fuel. You only want one. I've only tried the lemon and lime flavour, although apple does exist. The difference with this and other CIS or Science in Sport ones is I find their other ones very wallpaper pasty, but this is not like that. That's much more, this one's a bit more liquidy, much more possible to get down. I haven't had any bad problems from the results of such caffeine, but you know, you've got to know your own body if you can handle that or not, but it's certainly a good one to try. Next pick is the PF30 Energy Gel by Precision Hydration. This one I'm fairly new to. It's a 51 gram sachet, but it is really quite petite, so it's really good for carrying. 30 grams of carbs, so again, a decent amount of carbs in that, and it's got a caffeine option which has 100 milligrams. There's also a 90 gram carbs pouch available. Now, I've started using this more because I'm getting to using higher carb amounts, and I love the small packet. I'm using it more regularly. The texture is kind of more jellyish, or more thicker, but not as jellyish as Morton. It's just a sweet one. It doesn't really have a flavour. I've found that I can get that larger amount of carbs in regularly with this gel without any issues. So I'm really enjoying that, as I do all their hydration stuff as well, actually, but that's a post for another day. Finally, an honourable mention to this one, which I've started using a lot, the Morton drink mix, specifically this one, the 320 CAF 100, works at about £3.60 a sachet, so it's not cheap. But it makes up 500 millilitres of liquid, and I've started putting two 250 millilitre flasks inside of my pockets and sipping that throughout a workout, and I'm finding it's working as well as having gels or specific caffeinated gels. I don't have like a caffeine spike, so I'm actually experimenting more with using the caffeinated drink and standard gels, so worth a look at the drink mix as well.
So my first pick for energy gels is Torque's Energy Gel, and this hits all the key notes you expect from an energy gel. It's actually very small for the amount of carbs it contains, which is 30 grams per gel. It's reasonable value. You can get a box of 15 for just under 30 quid. And it's the usual stuff, it's a 2-to-1 ratio of maltodextrin to fructose. It's a fairly fluid gel, but it's worth having with water, I find, when I'm taking them. But the main reason really I'm picking them is that I think these are the best tasting gels I've come across. Cherry Bakewell is the one I have here, is my favourite flavour of them, but there's a lot of gel flavours based on classic desserts. There's apple crumble, there's cherry yoghurt, raspberry ripple, things like that. They all sound sickly and they are very sweet, but sometimes that just hits the spot really nicely on a long run. I find you get a really nice sugary hit, but flavours that are quite familiar in terms of those desserts. And Cherry Bakewell in particular, I really like. I like a Cherry Bakewell tart, and this tastes a lot like a Cherry Bakewell tart. There's new packaging. This is a slightly older one I've got here, but all the same kind of stuff applies. They're really solid, just classic energy gels, which I think stand out because the flavours are nicer than the other ones I use regularly. Along with all the various regular flavours I have of this gel, there is a caffeine version of the gel, and all of them contain some electrolytes, which is a handy little bonus. And there is a nice mix box you can just pick up if you want to try loads of different flavours at once, or you can actually build your own sample box on the Talk website if you want to try a few flavours in particular. My next pick is Morton's gel, which isn't that exciting or out there. Everyone kind of knows how good Morton stuff is now, but yeah, I'm a really big fan. These are the gels that I use in a marathon. My primary source of fuels in a marathon would be Morton's energy drink, because I find drinks just a little easier on my stomach when I'm trying to get a load of carbs in during a marathon. But I will have a couple of Morton's gels as well. It's got the same hydrogel technology going on here, which means it is a gel when it hits your stomach, and I find that a little bit easier to digest and use on the run compared to the more fluid classic type of energy gels, which are more likely to upset my stomach. They don't always do it, but in a marathon, especially when it's like my big goal race, I will go for hydrogel stuff from Morton just because I find it more reliable in keeping me feeling full and fueled without upsetting my stomach. The energy gel from Morton is pretty standard stuff. It contains 25 grams of carbs. There's also a caffeinated version with 100 milligrams of caffeine. It's got a thicker, stodgier texture than most energy gels. You almost have to bite off little chunks and then either chew them down quickly, or I tend to pop it in my cheek and let it absorb for a little while and soften and have it just sitting there. The flavour's just a slight sweet flavour. It's very bland, inoffensive flavour. Again, it's really very performance focused, this stuff. There's no exciting flavours. It's really just pure fuel that you can get down, that sits in my stomach a little bit better than other gels during those long races. These gels are expensive compared to other options. It's £32.40 for a box of 12 gels. So it works out about £2.70 per gel. But I just find them the most reliable for me in terms of keeping my stomach settled when I'm racing. So my last gel pick is the OTE Super Gel, which is my favourite higher carb gel. So this has 40 grams of carbs in a serving, in the same way as SAS's Beta Fuel gels do. So I do find it convenient for getting a really high amount of carbs into the system very quickly, carrying it in what is still a fairly small gel packet. It's a bit bigger than things like Morton, but you can still shove a load of these in your shorts quite easily if you want to use them for a marathon. They're pretty similar to the SAS Beta Fuel gels all round, so it might be a case of picking whichever one of those that you like the flavour of most. There are berry and tropical gels in the OTE range, and it's got all the usual energy gel properties. You've got the maltodextrin fructose mix, you've got some electrolytes chucked in there as well if you want that in your gels, and it goes down pretty well for what is a very high hit of carbs from a fairly small gel. I would say definitely sip this quite slowly. It's a lot of carbs. You don't want to be doing this in a oneer and then expecting your stomach to just absorb it very happily. It's a good gel to sip over the course of like a K during a run, but I also tend to use these more just for fueling training sessions. So you can have one of these at the start of a hard session, knowing that you've added 40 grams of carbs into the system there and can use that for that session. Whereas it comes to long races, I'd probably switch back to drinks, but if I was going to use gels again for a marathon, it's this kind of high carb gel I'd go for, because I do try and hit about 60 to 80 grams of carbs per hour in a marathon, and having 40 grams of carb gels like this just makes that a little bit easier in terms of the amount you have to carry. So yeah, that's the OTE Super Gel. I would say that the SAS's Beta Fuel gels are also a really good option if you're looking for a high carb gel. The strawberry and lime flavour is pretty nice.
Gels. I think I've said this before on the Run Testers, but I am celiac, so I can't have wheat, can't have gluten, and I have a really sensitive stomach. This is probably too much information, but I've gone there. So a lot, in fact, so many of the running gels on the market just do not agree with me. I've had this conversation with Kieran so many times. I went through a phase, I think, for my first marathon where I didn't have any gels. I had like bananas and actual food on the run. Because I just my stomach can't seem to tolerate them. I either feel really sick or they just don't work for me. So I've only got two. I've only got two tried and tested picks that work. And the first one is Morton. I think this is probably one of the gels in the market that don't have loads of kind of flavourings, and it's quite a simple list of ingredients compared to a lot of other gels. I found they work for me. I can probably have a couple. My fueling strategy over like a marathon would be to mix this with my next pick, because the consistency is just the worst. Like this is so gloopy and so thick and so not nice, but they work and they have a good amount of carbs, and I mean, there's a reason why all the elites use them, right? They do the job, but I find I can only tolerate a couple and then I just want to gag when I'm trying to eat them. But that's my first pick. My second pick, which is a lot more palatable for me, is the Cliff Blocks. I haven't got an unopened pack, so excuse that. But these, I find them really great. They're like energy chews, so it's kind of like having a sweet or a jelly baby, not a gel. So I'd probably have maybe a couple of one gel, and then I'd use these. You do have to eat, I think they say the serving size is 3 of them to get your 25 grams of carb. So that is quite a lot, but I think they're easier to kind of consume than a gel. I find with a gel I want to have water, and then you kind of have to time the gels with your water stops, where these you can kind of chew and you don't need water with them. They're like having a jelly baby. There's loads of different flavoured. I don't go for the ones with caffeine or anything like that in. These are just strawberry ones, and I find these really work for me. They've never upset my stomach. Interestingly, I have tried the Cliff gels as well. They don't seem to sit with me as well as these. I think it's I can have kind of little and often with the blocks. So they're my only 2 picks. But if you are also celiac and you run and you have gels, please let me know, because this is a subject I have always struggled with.
So when it comes to energy gels for racing, I tend to sort of skip past the maltodextrin based gels for a number of reasons. One is that I find that gels that are made from natural ingredients, real food ingredients, tend to taste better. I also think they pack just as much energy. I think they're better for the body, if I'm really honest. I'm not a big fan of the maltodextrin. That said, there are sometimes when I'll use maltodextrin based gels, but for me, if you can go natural, then great. I think the flavour profiles are much better. And one of those gels is the Vala Energy Gel. Now this one is made from about 5 simple ingredients. It's basically got date paste, it has some maple syrup in it, it's got a bit of salt, there's some lemon and lime juice as well, and it's also got some chia seeds and some matcha tea powder in there as well. So obviously, if you're going to use this gel, you're going to have to like dates. That's the overriding taste here, but it's offset a little bit with like kind of citrus notes, which are really nice. It's a bit salty. It's a very sweet gel. It also comes out in a bit more of a kind of a paste rather than the gel. If you think about what would happen if you kind of blitzed up a load of dates, that's what you're going to get here. Thing is, dates are really good running fuel. If you sort of look at people who go and win things like the Marathon des Sables, they run off dates alone. It's a really kind of powerful, energy-filled, I think, alternative to sort of maltodextrin or those sort of more chemical gels. This one I think tastes brilliant. It's in a nice compact packet. It's really easy to open, really easy to carry. I find it really easy to get down. It's got a very different texture, which I think is a nice kind of counterpoint to some of the kind of more kind of gloopy gels as well. I tend to use this one in combination with other gels when I want something that's going to change up the kind of flavour profiles and do something that's a little bit different. So that one is the Vala Energy Gel. You're going to get about 24 grams of carbohydrate in one of those gels. It's a nice pocket friendly gel and tastes great. It's also made by a company in Wales, so it's a small company doing their bit to grow, which I really like as well, to support kind of smaller local companies. So that's the Vala Energy Gel. So next up for me is something that moves away from the more kind of traditional gels that we know and love like these. This is a big 154 gram pouch that contains 90 grams of carbohydrates in every single resealable pouch. It's from Precision Fuel and Hydration, and it is their 90 gram carb gel pouch. Now this contains exactly the same stuff that Jill has kind of mentioned in the smaller gel packets, only this one doesn't have caffeine. You're just getting a lot more of it in one kind of hit in one big pouch. Now the reason I like that is basically it makes it really easy to pour. You have one hulking great pouch that will fit in kind of one of those running belts that's built into the shorts, nice and easy. You can take it out and you can reseal it, and I really like that because you can unclip it really simply, take as much as you want, reseal it and put it away, use it again later. You don't have to go through opening kind of 4 or 5 different gels and having sticky packets to store or find somewhere to throw them away. It also means you can consume as much kind of carbohydrates as you want. So whereas a gel, you're basically taking down the whole hit of 20 grams or whatever it is in the 40 gram kind of volume of stuff that you've got to put in your stomach. You can suck down little bits of this as you go. It gives you a little bit more control. It's a very, very neutral flavour, so it's got quite a sweet kind of sugary taste, but there's no specific kind of standout flavour to it. I quite like that as well. It means it's quite palatable. There's not going to be any kind of weird sort of aftertastes. I think it's got a pretty good consistency. You don't necessarily need to drink water with this, although like most gels, it kind of helps to have something to swig to knock it down as well. Now, if you're going to shoot for the 60 grams of carbs that some people take on per hour, you're going to need about 2 of these to cover a 3-hour run. It might get a bit voluminous in your sort of storage wise if you need to take 3 pouches. But what I tend to do is take a couple of these and then mix it up with some of the other gels that have a bit of a stronger flavour profile, different textures, so you get a bit of a mix and something kind of to look forward to, or you're kind of interchanging. It makes it a little bit easier to get on with, I find. But yeah, I find these really, really easy to get down. I have no GI issues at all. Love the resealable nature of it. That kind of really helps if you're only taking on small amounts, less really opportunity for it to do something nasty to your stomach. And yeah, just that kind of convenience of having it all in one pack is just for me kind of a real win, particularly over a marathon. Stick 2 of those in your belt and off you go. Those are the Precision Fuel and Hydration 90 gram carb pouches. So next up for me, I've got something completely different to most of the gels we've seen on this list so far, in as much as all the ingredients in the 33 Fuel chia seed energy gel are completely natural. There's only 4 ingredients in it. You've got chia seeds, you've got organic palm sugar, you've got some Himalayan pink salt, and you've got some raw vanilla. Very, very simple, all real food ingredients. And what you can basically do is fill this up with water, or you can use milk, or you can use coconut water, or you can basically use anything you like. You put coffee in there if you want to get an extra caffeine hit. You leave it for about 10 minutes and it kind of expands and it absorbs the water, and then you get this kind of nice gel. The chia seeds sort of puff up. It's got a resealable cap to it. This is an old packet though, so the packaging has been redone, but essentially it's the same in the new packets. And you fill up to the water level, let them pad out, and then what you've got is a really nice, tasty, very different kind of texture kind of gel. It's different from anything else you'll ever try, but it's a wonderful taste. This is probably one of the tastiest gels I've had, and I really like it because of that kind of difference. Now, as it is, you're going to get about 11.5 grams of carbs in this pack. Obviously, if you add coconut water or you're adding milk, you're going to beef up that kind of overall carb hit from that, and you can do that with other drinks. If you put fruit juice in here as well, that will help beef up the overall kind of energy hit that you're going to get. I tend to use water in this. I'm quite happy just to use it with straight water, and it makes kind of a really kind of nice texture. And again, you can reseal it, so you don't have to take it all at once. That's another thing that I really like. One thing I will say, they may be a little bit difficult if you're going to carry quite a lot of them. So this is something that I'll tend to use in combination with other gels. Maybe have 2 of these in my belt with something else, maybe the Precision Fuel and Hydration pouch. But particularly if you're going to go ultra or over a marathon distance, you want something that's going to be very different to change things up. These are very, very gut friendly. They are delicious, something you'll look forward to, and packed full of energy as well. Something really, really different and interesting to try. These are the 33 Fuel Chia Seeds Power Gels. So one final one from me. These are the Raw Velo Gels, 50 gram gel pouches. Within this, you're going to get about 20 grams of carbohydrates. Now, these are really tasty. All the flavorings are in there. They're from concentrated fruit juice, but they all come from kind of real fruit flavorings. The base of this is kind of organic rice syrup. So the consistency of these is actually quite loose. They're not kind of gloopy and thick like a gel. You can take these down without water. You don't actually have to have water. I mean, I always find that it's nice to have a sip of water after all of the gels I take just to clear the palate. But these are ones that are really nice and easy to get down. They don't kind of stick to the teeth. They're a bit more kind of, I guess, a bit more kind of loose and almost sort of syrupy. But yeah, the flavouring kind of really vibrant, really lively, kind of really natural. And for that reason, I really like them. There is a 50 milligram caffeine option as well. The flavours, you've got blood orange, you've got passion fruit and coconut, and blueberry and hibiscus as well. They're nice and easy to open. They're pretty portable as well, nice and thin, pretty standard when it comes to sort of gel packets. They're suitable for vegetarians and vegans. And for me, it's just that kind of hit of kind of the fruit flavourings that really stand out. It's something that tastes nice and natural as a counterpoint to some of those really sort of artificial, kind of sickly sweet flavours that you might get. Although I know loads of you out there probably love rhubarb and custard and all those other things. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more akin to sort of eating real fruit, then these Raw Velo gels are a good option. So thanks for watching. That has been our roundup of the best energy gels that we all use when we are racing. They are our tried and tested go-tos. If you use something different, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear what your favourite products are. If you've got a favourite gel that you know works for you, that doesn't give you any tummy troubles, share them in the comments below, because I'm sure all the other viewers would love to hear about products that they know work for them. Obviously, try and test your own ones. as well. Important to test those out before race day. But we hope you've found that informative. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Ring the bell on the channel as well. Then you'll hear about new content and new videos that are going up soon. Really helps us to carry on making the content for you guys when we've got that support. Otherwise, it's been fantastic to chat to you about this, and we will see you again soon on the Run Testers. Happy running and racing. Good luck out there for all of you people who are chasing marathon PBs in the spring marathon season. Go get them.